It's that time of year again. Nationals have passed. It's the middle of summer. Ban list predictions. Let's hop right in. So a lot of people have been asking me to do this video trend. I'm not really a big fan of ban list predictions videos, but I will say that I'm basically, for each of the top decks, I think that there are things that are very likely to get hit, or I think should be likely to get hit. And then there are things that are kind of more like maybes, so I'm going to sort of break it down that way. And then at the end, I'll also have just some miscellaneous cards and a few things I think could come back. So yeah, let's hop in. So the current meta is Burning Abyss, Draco Pals, Monarchs, Cosmos, in some order. They've all done their fair share of winning events, topping events, so this should be pretty easy. I think each of them have some pretty distinct cards that could, should, would get hit. We'll start with Burning Abyss. I think that Dante is the #1 card in Burning Abyss that definitely needs to get hit. It's simply, you know, Burning Abyss of all the decks have been around for the longest, and I think that that's what makes them like definitely guaranteed to get hit. And Dante's a lot of the reason for it. I mean, like, they've been able to limit and semi-limit like Seer and Graf, but at the end of the day, you know, as long as Dante's around, they can always mill, they can always get effects, and they can always find rank 3 engines to, you know, sort of supplement like the loss of Burning Abyss cards. They found Phantom Knights and Speedroids, and so I think that Dante going to 1 would ensure that the deck is no longer able to, you know, stand as a meta deck. And I hate, you know, to think that a deck has to lose its sort of key card, but the thing is, Dante, when it's combined with Seer, starts looping all day long, and then Beatrice gets over it, and then when it leaves Beatrice, it gets effects anyway, and like Beatrice leads to Pilgrim and all this stuff. I don't think Beatrice is like the problem. I just think that it's kind of, to me, it feels like it's Dante. I know some people have said that maybe Beatrice should get hit or something like that, but I disagree. Also, so that's the one I definitely think should go to 1. I think that for Burning Abyss, some of the maybe cards are Seer, which I think could possibly go to 1 as well. Seer Dante looping is really annoying. It gets them out of way too many like bad spots. Like, they can just sit and loop those 2 cards for several turns, and if you're not playing another, you know, meta deck, then you won't ever really be able to break that loop, not reliably anyway. So I think Seer could possibly go to 1. I mean, like, you know, I would hate to see them both go to 1. That I feel would really cripple the deck, but you know, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do, and Konami's known to not hold back, so I mean, it's a very real possibility, but I don't think as likely as Dante. And the second card for Burning Abyss is Speedroid Terratop. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't want this card to get hit. I actually hope that they take out the other 2 cards and not Speedroid Terratop. I'm sure, I mean, I've gone on record as saying I hate when a deck loses its key cards because a higher tier deck uses them better. Like, you know, when Psychics lost Emergency Teleport because Teledad could use it better, and, you know, things like that. So yeah, I really do think that Terratop shouldn't get hit, but I mean, it's a possibility. It's like a tour guide engine effectively. You summon it, and it's like, you know, just gets, you know, you see the problem here. It's just a kind of a replacement tour guide, and Konami's gone on record in hitting a lot of those 1-card Xyz engines, Tour Guide, Rescue Rabbit, Wolfbark in its time. So I think that, you know, it's a very real possibility, but like I said, I don't want that to happen. Next is Cosmos. I think that Cosmos, the definite card in my opinion, and this is a bit more controversial because like there are a couple ways I think Cosmos could hit, but I think that Dark Destroyer could go to 1. A lot of people complain about it. I don't like the card. I think that honestly it's just too powerful of a boss monster. A lot of people use it as a sort of example of how power creep has gotten these days. Dark Destroyer is, it's not necessarily exactly it, it's just how easy it is to summon during, like, say, a battle phase, during, say, your opponent's turn to cripple a play, and, you know, not being targetable, being that big, and then floating, and popping, you know, a card, of course, when it gets summoned, which is bad, but it's even worse because, you know, it can pop copies of itself, which can lead to OTKs. I think it going to 1 would be fine because Cosmos do still have other boss monsters. They've got Dark Eclipser, they've got Dark Planet, they recently have like Dark Lady. There are other high-level Cosmo cards, so if this card were to go to 1, the deck would still be playable on a maybe less than competitive level, but it wouldn't mean that, you know, it can't operate at all. So it's not so crucial to the deck that like it getting hit would completely neuter it, but it's just the fact that Dark Destroyer is easily the best one, and you know, they could go back to things like Forerunner and stuff like that. I think the other possibilities are Cosmo Tin Can, which is a really powerful, I mean, just sort of Pot of Duality effect. Even better, really. I mean, the cards go to the grave that don't get picked. And it can happen during either end phase, and that's just really annoying when, like, in your opponent's end phase, you can search Cosmo cards, and in that same end phase, banish Tin Can and summon them. It's just like, and you know, I really think that that's a possibility. It could go to 1, it could go to 2. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, like, I feel like if Dark Destroyer gets hit to 1, then Tin Can could probably be fine just staying at 3, but I mean, like, maybe Konami would put it to 2. And the other card I was thinking is actually Cosmo Town. I think that Cosmo Town going to 2 would be pretty fair. Cosmo Town as it is now, it's really hard to even justify destroying the card with your MST or your Twin Twister, because it just gets, you know, a Cosmo card to their hand or a second copy of itself, and so it just feels like, what's the point? Like, what is the point of destroying a field spell that literally just recurs? And, you know, it's not the field spell's effects that are like all that broken. I don't think that the recycle effect's that bad. I don't think that the mulligan effect's that bad. I really think it's just the floating effect. It makes it where MSTs are especially hard to use against Cosmos. So maybe Cosmo Town could go to 2. I don't think it should go to 1 or anything. I think it can maybe go to 2. But if Tin Can and Dark Destroyer get hit, then definitely leave it alone. Alright, so let's talk about Monarchs. The first one is Pantheism. I think that this card should just go ahead and get limited. I'm not actually going to talk a lot about that. I'm not going to argue my points. I think that it is pretty obvious this card is unfair. It's just a play and profit spell. It's at 3. It draws, it searches, it thins. That, it's pretty unfair. Like, there's not a whole lot of defending that card. I think it should definitely go to 1. The more interesting question comes up really when you talk about what other Monarch cards should get hit, because I think just Pantheism is obligatory, but I still think it could deserve more. I'll go ahead and say I don't think that Domain needs to get hit. Extra deck Monarchs have proven to actually be the more popular version of Monarchs as it is, and also, you know, Domain's just a field spell, and like, it doesn't recur or anything like Cosmo Town does, so I'm not like as against it as I am other cards. But I do think that the Monarch Stormforth is like a possibility. I mean, like, maybe it could go to 1. I'm not really sure. It's existed before this new Monarch stuff came out, and it was fine. It's just the fact that, you know, like Ether and things, being able to tribute your opponent's monsters is an annoying thing, but being able to do it during their turn, during their plays, like, you know, literally I interrupt your play to tribute your monster for mine and then do things during your turn. That, you know, getting to play with your opponent's stuff during their turn, that's where it can get really annoying. So I think that card going to 1 could help. I've heard people say Tenacity, but I think that if Pantheism gets hit, then Tenacity is okay. I mean, like, you know, it doesn't thin as much, and it takes having something else in hand. I mean, I know Pantheism does too, but Pantheism's a better card, and I think that 1 should get hit and not, like, both of them. So Pantheism would be my pick, not Tenacity. But the last card, I think it might actually be Ether. She enables a lot of OTKs, and, you know, she's really unfair. I mean, like, you send Monarch Spell and Traps to the grave because, you know, they're so useless there, they'll never do anything. And, you know, then you get to bring out, like, Erebus or whatever and just have, like, hey, 5,600 damage on the board, boom. Like, plus anything else you had on the board, you can kill people really quickly. And, you know, if Dark Destroyer's got to get hit, then I think that Ether honestly deserves it too. I mean, like, Erebus isn't that bad. It's really, to me, Ether. She enables a lot of one-turn kills, and so I think her going to 1 would be, you know, in my book, quite all right. 2, I don't think would change much, but it would kind of cut consistency, so maybe. But I think that definitely Pantheism, and then maybe Stormforth, maybe Ether, both going to 2 to 1. I'm not entirely sure. I think Stormforth should go to 1 and Ether to 2. Just my opinion. Next is Draco Pals, which, you know, I don't know if you even want to call them Draco Pals. Perform a pendulum thing. This is the one I'm least concerned about. I know it has still been winning and topping. It won, like, the European Nationals, I believe, but I don't think it's as bad. I think that the only reason Konami would hit it would be simply to just, like, get it out of the picture. You know, move it aside for newer things. For a while, I didn't think that Kieran would necessarily get hit, but recently, maybe, like, that's not so true. I mean, like, I always compare it to kind of a new school Grand Moloch, as in much better, but effectively functioning the same way, where once it's out, it can really lock your opponent out of being able to do much of anything. So I think that Kieran will probably go to 1, and I mean, like, the thing is, even at 1, Kieran's still pretty good, like, as a tech card. So I'm not actually sure how they'll manage that situation. I don't think that they should hit Magispector Bunbuku, but I mean, if they hit them both, that would, like, cut that engine out. Other than that, you know, I mean, like, Monkey Board's already at 1, and so is Skull Crobat, so, like, what else do you hit? They've even hit Draco Face Off, so, like, Sky Iris? I mean, like, I don't really know. That's a tough one. I don't think that deck is so problematic that it's, like, it has to get hit, so it's a tough call, but I think that, like, you know, Kieran's definitely in some danger of getting hit. And for the miscellaneous cards, I've got 3, and I might remember one off the top of my head. This video is like semi-scripted only. The first is Twin Twister, which at first I was like very sure that this card should get hit. Now I'm more on the fence. At first it did feel like super powerful, you know, in-phase Twin Twister was so annoying because like it just can let you OTK your opponent and they have like nothing they can do about it. And it actually feels in some ways better than Heavy Storm because it's like chainable, and in Burning Abyss and stuff, it, you know, sets up plays. And that alone can feel really annoying when, like, you know, somebody's pitching a Graph or a Seer to use Twin Twister on you during your in phase, and it's just like, come on, you know, this is unfair. Lately though, it's been kind of relegated to a side deck card, and so when you consider it that way, it's like maybe it's not so bad. I mean, I think people have found some of the weaknesses in it. It's not usable in every deck. So maybe, just maybe, Twin Twisters could just stick around at 3, but I don't know, like maybe it should go to 1. I'm very mixed on this. This is gonna be one where I don't give a solid opinion. It's kind of more in my limbo list, so you guys can tell me what you think about Twin Twister. The next card is Card of Demise, so very controversial one. The reason why I'm gonna say I think it should go to 1 is because, well, if Chicken Game got banned and Upstart had to go to 1, you know, I think it's really only fair that Card of Demise has to also go to 1. It, you know, really heavily benefits anti-meta decks, and that's fine. It's effectively like kind of a power crept Potter duality for them when I kind of draw the comparison in my head, but I really do think that it should just go ahead and go to 1. It's not really fair that a deck can, you know, like set 4 traps or whatever and then use like Card of Demise and get stuff. You know, Qliphorts have made great use of this. Yosenju as well. I'm not really a fan of like the just annoying, really slow stall stun, nothing but traps and back row and like floodgate things. So there's a plane. So I'm gonna say it should go to 1. I mean, I think it's just really kind of only fair. And plus we're getting like Pot of Cupidity soon, so like yeah, I think Card of Demise should go to 1. And the last kind of limbo card is Solemn Strike, which the only reason I don't think it might get hit is just like as a means to sell the Mega Tins, because this year's Mega Tins will definitely have Solemn Strike, and that would be a really good like selling point for those products, you know, people being able to get copies of Strike. But if we're being unbiased here, Solemn Strike is pretty damn powerful, and we all know it, and every Solemn card has eventually kind of found its way on the ban list in some form or another, excepting Scolding, and we know that Scolding's not like really as bad. It's actually the balanced Solemn card in my eyes. So Solemn Strike, it's a powerful card. In a top tier deck, you know, once they've got some kind of established board and like Strike or something else is behind it, you're not really coming back, and that's a real problem. You know, paying less life points than Warning costs you, and being able to negate, you know, Pendulum Summons, which is really powerful, and also monster effects for whatever reason. Yeah, I think that Strike should go to 1. If it's not this list, it'll probably be next. Like I said, they probably want to sell those Mega Tins. Also, quick insert that I remembered after I stopped recording, I think that Anti-Spell Fragrance is another one of those cards that might get hit because it stops Pendulums, and moving forward, Pendulum I think is going to be a really big mechanic in Yu-Gi-Oh! And so Anti-Spell Fragrance is such an oppressive floodgate for Pendulums in the sense that they can't activate them at all, that there's a very real chance that Konami could put that card to 1. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time we've lost powerful floodgates. So yeah. And that's going to pretty much conclude the stuff that I think should go on the list. As for stuff that should come back, I don't really want to spend a whole lot of time on this because like we all have a lot of the same cards that we want to see come back. You know, if you're an Inzektor player, you'd like to see Dragonfly or Hornet, you know, come to 2 or something. If you're a Wind-Up player, you want the boat back. Everybody wants Stratos back. You know, I will always stick to saying I think Book of Moon should come back to 2. It's just not that powerful of a card anymore, at least not in my head, I don't think. I think that maybe Compulsory Evacuation Device could come back. It just feels like it's not really useful against Pendulums, and no one really even plays it while it's at 1, so like, I don't know. And maybe like Rescue Rabbit or, you know, something like that. I'm not sure. But definitely Book of Moon and Compulse, I think, are they could come back. I don't really think there are any ban cards that really need to show up again. I mean, you know, it's an interesting place in Yu-Gi-Oh! Where I'm just looking forward more to the new things than any old stuff coming back. I'm very excited for the next format. I've recently read about spirals, and I know Metal Foes are supposed to be really cool, and you know, we've still got more legacy support. So that's gonna conclude my ban list predictions. Hope you guys liked them. I hope you guys thought I was being like somewhat reasonable, somewhat sensible. Obviously, you know, people have different opinions, we can all disagree. Leave your ban list thoughts in the comments. We should be getting the list within, honestly, the next week or two. I mean, you know, the Nats have passed, so for all I know, it could be out like the day after this video. So yeah, that's gonna be it. Hope you guys liked it. Leave your ban list thoughts and arguments in the comments below. Be respectful. And anything I'm forgetting? Oh yeah, check out my social media. Buy Team APS playmat. By the way, the TCG Player gift card giveaway has ended. I've emailed the winners. And last but not least, check out TCG Player, my sponsor. I think that's it. I've gone on long enough. Bye, guys.